Well, hello guys, welcome back. I'm trying to make this a night before Cliff Notes version because I'm spiritually, emotionally, and physically exhausted right now, and I'm in a lot of pain because old ladies shouldn't have to try to lift a lot of weight and carry it all their house. As I'm doing this method, Loki's walking right alongside of me, and I started from a teeny tiny fox to a big old fox now, and I said, certain stuff just is not for me. Certain stuff isn't even about me. It does not exist to be about me. It's just not about me. So we were going through we were going through our CDs. I'll left those to last because I haven't used them about a decade at least. So I got rid of a bunch of CDs that just aren't about me. They aren't for me. They aren't meant for me. So we got rid of that. And you're all like, huh? Don't worry, this makes sense to me, and that's all that matters. And we got rid of that. We got rid of a shelf of books, and we got rid of some other, tchotchkes and stuff like that. I said, as I'm bundling this all out to go outside, it's incredibly heavy. I said, I know certain deities are going to be tone deaf on this, but I said, this is not for me. I never belonged here. It's not about me. It's about the people of this culture. It's not for me. It's not about me. Everything's not about me. I said, if this month is about everything, it's about you can look at the accomplishments of, say, Black people in American history, but it's about looking at them. It's not like not trying to be them, but it's like Black history is about looking at the accomplishments and history of Black people in America. It's not about white people. It's not for you. It's not about you. It's just not. So I said that's the same thing, my view now on Black spirituality. We can agree to disagree. I know a lot of you are gonna hate me, but I said I think it is for the healing of and empowerment of Black people. I said I don't think it has anything to do with white people. I said I think some of us just see bright and shiny and we wander in kind of lost and we're convinced we have a calling. I said, do you know how many callings I've had in my life? I thought I was meant to be a priest, only the Catholic Church doesn't allow priests. I've had all these other callings. I said, you know how many callings I've had in my life? They probably don't mean anything. And I said, I'm truly now, I'm like, this is a Black thing for Black people. It's about the empowerment of Black people. It's about the enrichment of Black people. It's about connecting to your ancestors and your roots. And I said, most of the books I had on my bookshelf were by fakes and charlatans anyway, so what does that tell you? And I said, even though I thought I got good guidance, I said, who knows if I ever worked with these spirits? But just in case, as I cleaned up everything, I'm like, if you are there, if I ever have worked with you, because I truly have my doubts now, I truly do. I said, I don't do this as an insult. I don't do this as a slap in the face. I said, but most of these books are by nuts anyhow. And I said, they're not by people that actually practice. They're by nuts or charlatans or people trying to rip off Black culture or something. And I said, they're trying to pass as Black. And I said, this is like the least appropriate thing to have, even if I were, going to work with you anyhow. And I said, it's just been a slow moving disaster and a train wreck for over a decade now. And I said, with all due respect, who I've found out I am is a person that feels very strongly about certain things. And I said, I really truly think that this, if you ever did interact with me, I think it's a African spirituality for people of African descent. You could argue we're all of African descent, but I said, as I've been cleaning and as I've been challenging myself and going through a lot of emotional garbage, I said, this is just who I am. I said I got attracted for whatever reason, who knows? I can't even remember anymore if anything really particular happened to me or just remember reading someone else's story, stroke. So I said, this just isn't for me. This just isn't for me. I could tell working on the altar last night, and I could tell, every time for a decade when I walked into a room, saw those books, and I was like, ugh. And they're by, fakes and charlatans anyways. I said, this isn't for me. And I said, if I want to show respect for Black History Month or Black people in general, I said, the last thing I need is, these books by these charlatans anyhow. And I said, even if they were authentic books, I said, not everything is about white people. And the jury's still out on whether whites are Italian, whether Italians are white. But I said, it's not even about whether I'm white or not. I said, it's not about me. It's about Black people. And I said, this is not for me. This is not meant for me. It's meant for the empowerment and psychic healing of Black people. This is not for me. I said, I think the white people that do get attracted to it, or the European people that get attracted to it, get attracted to it because we don't have our own traditions to go back to, or we have traditions that got hijacked by people that just want attention, and they're not authentic. There's stuff these people have made up. There's not really a good German tradition to go back to. There's not a good Polish tradition to go back to. These are a bunch of white people that never really practice this stuff, that are pretending they practice this stuff. And because they changed what they said in their books as the years went along. At first, they just found this, as they moved into this area. And then 4 books later, oh no, I've practiced this for decades. That's not what you said when you wrote 4 books ago. And I'm like, there are certain people in the Wiccan community that lie and invent a lot of shit. And like, there's really nothing authentic, because Wicca, and I'm sorry for Wiccan, but it's not authentic. It's a lot of made up stuff, a lot of made up stuff. If it doesn't exist, make it up. And I said, that's not authentic to me either. I said, I don't care if people practice it. You should make up your own spirituality. But I said, that's it. I said, it's not like there is this authentic, living, vibrant Italian, German, or Polish tradition. I said, it's not. I said, there's stuff that's been made up. There are stuff been reconstructed, but I said, there's nothing out there for me. I said, I think I was just trying to replace what's been lost forever. And I picked a really unfortunate way to go about it. And, I made peace with it. I made peace with it. And I said, I mean, no disrespect for getting rid of this stuff, but I have to. I said, this is not me. I said, you are obviously, if you are with me, if you are real, and I have in my doubts right now. I said, you obviously can choose to do whatever you want to me in return because you're a lot stronger than I am. But I said, I hope you realize that I will never literally see your point of view and you will never literally see mine. It's impossible. It is impossible. And I said, if we want to, ever work sometime in the future, if they are real, and I don't know if they are or not. I'm not saying they aren't real. I'm saying in my life. I said, we could do that. But I said, for now, I gotta be me. And I said, no, I'm not comfortable in my own skin looking at these books or such and such not. And I said, I can't do this. I cannot. And I said, if 12 years has taught me anything, it's taught me where I feel I belong and where I feel I don't belong. And I said, I think this is something sacred and it's meant for black people. And I know people saying, well, that sounds racist because, well, it's black spirituality. It's based on, the voodoo in this, in the New World. Some people will say go straight back to Africa, and people, in the specific countries will say, no, it does not, it's a whole new thing. And other people will say, no, it comes from slave times. It comes from that spirituality. It comes from all those cultures blending together. And that's why, we have what we have. You couldn't go back to Africa and find exactly what you would find in, say, New Orleans or Haiti or wherever you would find it. So I said, it's just, if white people, and we're still out on Italians, if white people want to do anything, it's like, just for me, I'm like, I'm stepping back. I'm stepping back. And I said, I think it's the most respectful thing to do. I think it's the most honest thing to do. I think it's the most authentic thing to do. I said, I don't think it's for me. I don't think it's about me. And I have done my soul searching for a decade. I've read countless books. I've read people for it and I've read people against it. And the people that say, "Oh, don't you dare walk away," they're speaking from being within that culture. So, they're not seeing it as an outsider. They're not seeing it as another outsider. And then I just look at them and go, "Well, you're an outsider too." They're speaking from within the culture, and I'm like, well, yeah, you're from this culture. It makes sense for you to be here, and sure, you can feel comfortable and at home in your skin, and like, hey, I'm inviting in whoever wants to come in, and it's about who the love of color or anything. And I used to think that way, and then as time is going on, I'm like, no, this is something for black empowerment. This is not for white people. And I know it's probably a very unpopular thing to say, but and over the years, I'd wanted to leave, and people would be like, "Don't you dare leave!" And the spirits call who they call, and da da da. But I noticed that the spirits, this is what I'm thinking, they weren't with me, were like way too lax. After a while, for years, it was pretty intense, but then after a while, Loki and Odin made themselves a home, and the spirits weren't a thing for quite a while, and then they would be here intermittently. And then now they show up maybe once a year, and I said it's clear that either I made something up in my head or it's not for me. I said, if it was for me, I would still be there. I would be happy and healthy and in my skin. I said, I just don't think it was meant for me. I don't think it's about me. I think it's about African spirituality. And am I African? Technically, yes, we all are, but immediately, no, I'm not. So, I know that probably sounds horrible to some of you, and a lot of people might unsubscribe. But I said, I just think it's like a slap in the face because, white privilege. I said, I have the privilege to either do this or not. Some people say the Lord gonna kill you now. But I have the privilege to either do it or not. I have the privilege to either work with Lasanta or not. And I have the privilege to either work with these others or not. Now, you don't have to work with them if you're from the culture. It's not your default. But I said, I have the privilege of walking away. And that's part of white privilege. You can go into something, you can try it, and you can say, well, I'm doing this because I think everybody is equal and everything, but we're looking at it from a place of white privilege of like, yes, of course you're equal to me. And I said, can't do that anymore. Can't do that anymore. I said, I'm going to be tossing out a lot of stuff. Tossing out a lot of stuff. And Lacenta had never wanted her statue, so she's going to be throwing her statues get tossed out. She never wanted them. She never did. She never wanted a single one of them. She never did. So she's going to be happy. The magazines too. And I can't speak a damn word of Spanish. It would be me sitting there literally for 4 hours with Google Translate reading a magazine, typing it in, and like being like, "That's not what that word translated to 5 minutes ago." So, it was very painful, tedious process, and I didn't pick up a lick of Spanish in the process either. So, she's actually probably going to be thrilled. And I said, who knows if she even came into my life? I said, I might have made up with Tupelo. I said, I don't want to sound racist. I'm not saying this to sound racist, but I'm like, why the hell would a Mexican folk say, come work with a white person thousands of miles away from her original, home country? I said, why the hell would she be working with me? I said, this doesn't even make sense. I said, it really doesn't. I said, I think after my mother died, my brain just short circuited. My father had been, sick for years with cancer, and then as he was dying, I had noticed her, popping up a lot in the news and not in a good way, and I thought I was getting attracted to her. And at the time, I was already working with the Baron and such. And my mother was like, "No, one skeleton in this house is enough." So she was okay with the Baron because she was like everything's for everyone, and I was too at the time. But I said my views have really changed and shifted. And I said, I'm wistful now and I'm kind of sad, but I said I truly can't change who I am inside. I said once I really started to meet people with serious, truly serious problems about, white people and food on. I said, I changed my mind. I've seen enough of them and I've seen the pain it causes people. And I said, this is not for me, man. I don't care if the spirits call me or not. If that person over there is truly being hurt by this, I have no right to be here. I shouldn't be doing this shit. So, and then there will be people that will stand up and be just as enraged. So you can't make anybody happy and go, how dare you walk away? Da da da. The level called you. So or I don't know if they called me or not, man. How could I prove it? I mean, the closest I am is Italian, and you could vaguely say because my Italian ancestors were so Southern Italian, not quite Sicily, but pretty Southern Italian. you know, who knows who's really in my family tree, but that would even be a nebulous argument. Do I look directly African? I do not. And Africa is a continent. I don't know why we all still say that, but I guess because we don't, we know why we say that because of slavery. Africa is the best we can do. We have no idea where most people's ancestors came from. So, I hope you guys don't take that the wrong way. I hope it doesn't offend you. But I said, I've truly come to see that as spirituality for Africans only. I said, no, it is different, by the way, in case you're going to ask. It is different with Nordic spirituality. That is not a spirituality for people that were enslaved and, people of other cultures had enslaved them and are coming over to practice it. That traditionally speaking, that's not how that worked. So that's totally different. To me, that's like you do you. If the gods are truly calling you, you do you. But for something that has a history of slavery on it, I'm like, I'm just not comfortable. And the less said about U.S. Mexico relations, the better. And I said, I don't know, man. I said, I think I went crazy. I said, I think white people are just insane. And I think the start of 2020 and, the storming at the Capitol proved that. I said, I think people of European descent, we're just all fucking nuts. I said, I think we really are. I said, I think we just don't understand that we truly do see everything from a white default. So there you go. There's my contribution to Black History Month. I think white people can, the best we can do is say on Black History Month, I'm white. I have no idea what the hell you're talking about. And I know I don't because I'm only dimly aware that I'm seeing it from a white perspective. And I'm like, I'm with you, but I'm like, I'm so white, I don't know. And, like I said, and I will say to the end of the day, Italian's jury's still out, but, what are you going to do? So if you guys like what you see, like, comment, subscribe, and we'll see you later. Bye bye.